All right. I think I've waited long enough. I got to get some things off my chest in terms of some unanswered questions that um, things that are bothering me that I've got to ask the universe the question. I doubt I'll ever get the answer, but maybe other people are thinking the same thing. And for me, it's like, it's something simple that's just like happening to me like on a daily basis right now as I'm watching sports and I'm watching baseball specifically. The Giants are the biggest, I would say, culprit of this because they're in this rebuilding stage with young players who are still developing and learning. So I don't know if it's an element of that or if it's an element of this whole new regime that the Giants are running with Farhan Zaidi and Gabe Kapler as the manager, where it feels like they're like the front office is running the show and the manager is just like the voice of the franchise nowadays and not necessarily the mastermind like Bruce Bochy used to be,
Mhm.
and they're letting the statistics sort of tell everybody what to do and where to play and, what lineup to run out there and all that stuff, right? So my question is like every single baseball player is trying to be like a football quarterback with either an armband with like cheat sheets on it, or they whip out this little cheat sheet that's laminated from their pocket after every new batter comes up the bat. Like, where do I stand? It's like you've been playing baseball this entire time and you don't know where to stand. Like you need to reference a piece of paper to tell you where to stand. I mean, if there's obvious keys where it's if a left-handed batter, we're going to take a few steps to our left. If it's a right-handed batter, we're going to take it, we're going to play straight up or this or that. It's like these guys are shifting so incredibly like drastic on every single at bat that it's just like what does this card say? Like move 15 steps to the left, then 6 steps forward, and then 2 steps, 30 degrees to your right. Or like what are these instructions? Like Nolan Arenado comes up the
Mhm.
bat. Where are you supposed to stand? Okay, well go to ground zero because that's where normally you're supposed to play. Then take 8 steps back, 4 to your left, and then spin around 3 times and then get ready. It's like what does it say? Like how do you know that or and then the next guy comes up to bat and you already took 15 steps back and 6 to the left and 25 to the south and then like the next batter comes up and you got to do you're going to
Two
take
bunny
14
hops to the right.
steps. Yeah, you're going to do 14 steps to the southeast and then you're going to go step back
Shimmy,
like
shimmy
14 steps.
slide.
But like do you start from where you were at the previous spot, or do you have to go back to where like a normal left fielder starts and then do this whole thing over again because you have to start at like point X every single at bat because all the instructions are from point X? Or is it like you started at the first at bat at point X and then you moved you to here, and then your shift from there is the second batter? So are the steps from that point, or do you have to go back to point X and then do the steps again? So it's
I
like these are my unanswered questions that like no one's going to tell me this.
I feel like you could what could be really valuable to you is like that between inning video, like what's going on like in the outfield where you can
Yeah.
just watch. Like are they resetting? Are they like running back to zero and then counting their steps out to the next bat?
They're probably studying the first 3 batters that they know for sure gonna come up that inning, I would
Yeah.
think, and then it's just like it's just frustrating to me because it's like, how many times right now have we already seen like, they're playing so much of these statistics and these shifts, and I've seen so many plays where balls get hit to where guys should have been if they lined up normally,
Yeah.
and then a run scores because of it, or they get a double because of
But how
it,
many
and
plays, but also
yeah.
how many plays have worked out because of where they shifted to?
Not enough to make it worth it.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And a lot of it too is like you're moving guys who aren't typically like you're moving a third baseman to play where second base is because you're dropping the second baseman in a shallow right field. And then now the third baseman who's playing second base is getting a ground ball up the middle. And now he's got to turn to like a second baseman that he typically doesn't do
Yeah.
very often.
Yeah,
You know
those
what I mean?
crazy shifts like that are always mind-blowing to me, man.
So it's like
Like,
I get it, these are professional ball players and you should be able to ask them to do many different things, but you gotta also remember that everyone's a creature of habit and
oh
no
yeah.
athlete is a bigger creature of habit than a baseball
Yeah.
player. And, it's like
I mean, dude, they're such creatures of habit. Like you watch them in between innings, like they're practicing the motions of throwing to those two bases, or
yeah,
that certain spot that they're naturally normally throwing to. Like they're
yeah,
literally
yeah,
like even when they're just tossing the ball to each other, like they're you'll see like the pitcher throw like a little blob to the second baseman. He gets down, pulls it up, fires it to
Oh, yeah.
first. Like it just
Right.
they're just
Right.
constantly practicing those certain motions that are specific to their position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can only imagine that how
Oh, but
they probably have a certain level of confidence, but I'm sure they have a very high level of concern too when they
yeah. Yeah.
have to
I mean,
do a
because
big shift like that.
it's funny to me because it's like, okay, you think about like a quarterback, like I can probably tell you what's on that wristband. I mean, he's reading the plays because some of them are so long
Yeah.
and they've got like different verbiage. And it's like sometimes it's easier just to like, okay, if they give you a signal, like, okay, I'm going to read that real quick, versus what the hell does this thing say? Like, how
Yeah.
many steps to the left, to the right? Like, is it that basic, or are there arrows on it that says like, go like this, like when you, for this
Dude,
batter? Like,
I would
I don't know,
what
you
would be
know?
really fascinating is if it is quite possibly like the most simplest thing ever, you know? Like if it's just a note like number 12, pulls,
Yeah.
adjust.
Yeah.
Like just some basic information where they're just looking at it, they're like, oh, this guy likes to pull. Maybe I'll just take a couple steps this way. And it's like totally up to them. It's just like some general information. Or if
But
it
yeah,
is super complex, but that's true. Like, and to be honest, it could very well be different for every team. One team
yeah.
could have it just some basic notes. Another team could have it where it's like, number 13, he'll, double skip the ball into center field, take 45 steps forward or whatever,
But like, how hard is it? Like, I mean, you got 27 coaches in the dugout, and you tell me that
That's
like,
not an over exaggeration.
no, it's not. And like in the old school way, it's just like you had one guy stood up and be like, "Hey, go that way a little bit. Okay, you're good." Like, it's not that difficult, you know? Like,
It was a bad
and
time to
then,
take a sip of
it's
beer.
like, and then if you did it that way, at least it's like, okay, if this guy's lined up wrong, it's on the coach. Because then it's like if you're gonna leave him up to like he's got to read the cheat sheet on where to line up, well, now you're still not sure if he's in the right spot because you're leaving it up to the player to make sure that he put himself in the right spot.
Yeah.
And then if something happens, you're gonna get questioned in the locker room later after the game, like, well, what happened on that play? Like, why were you lined up over here? Like, blah blah blah. And then like the coach is gonna get asked, well, he really should have been over here. He didn't read the cheat sheet correctly.
Well, the
Blah blah blah. It's
cheat
like,
sheet said 15 steps to the right. I thought it meant my right, not the batter's right. I
well,
mean,
what's gonna
it's a
happen is,
switch hitter. I mean, I thought it was, his normal stance right, not his opposite stance right. Like, I got confused.
well, my point there is like you're gonna have each other throw each other under the bus.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
well, I did what the cheat sheet said, and then the coach is gonna be like, no, he didn't. He didn't do what the cheat sheet
Yeah.
said. And it's like, if you got the guy who's standing out there getting your attention and saying, move sick, go this way. Okay, good, you're good, you're good. Like,
Yeah.
there's no question there. He said I was good. You know? Like,
Yeah. This meant good, not back up,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
I mean,
that's a
it's
good
like,
one, dude.
and they're just not gonna, they're never gonna tell you what's on there
Oh, no.
because they don't want it to be under
That's giving away their
scrutiny
secrets.
in the media, and they don't want it to be giving away the strategy either.
Oh,
So it's just like it's one of those things. It's unanswered questions that we'll never know unless we ever get like an ex ball player that comes on and really sheds some light on something like that. Which, I'm not holding my breath.
I mean, I think as long as it doesn't come with large clicking or clapping noises, it's not cheating. So
Yeah, it's true. Or buzzers.
yeah, whatever the weird noise is. Yeah.
It's like, what is the coach gonna buzz you if you're not in the right spot?
Yeah.
Got like a
Wait,
dog
no.
collar. Like we're gonna zap you until you get in the right spot.
You just see the guy out in the outfield, take 2 steps to the right, 2 steps more, 2 steps more. Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, they didn't buzz me. I'm good.
That's an interesting one though, man. I like that.
It makes you think, because it's like you see it happen. They're always out there. I can't wait for the one time the guy's going to sit there and he's going to be still looking at his card, and their pitch is going to go. Like they're going to pitch while he's still looking at it.
Yeah.
And then like he's trying to put that thing away, and the ball's like in the air or something like that. Like, or he gets caught sleeping out there because he's trying to read his goddamn play sheet.
Yeah. I haven't seen too much of that. I have to be honest, and this is a terrible thing to say as what I personally feel I am a true Giants fan. I have actually not watched a single game this year. I've been watching the recaps. I've just been really busy with kid stuff, work stuff, and I'm a video game nerd. So every night when I lay into bed, I watch the I watch the
Highlights.
recaps and the highlights and stuff. So I'm aware what's going on, but I just haven't had the opportunity to sit down and watch the whole game, which I'm hoping to actually do this weekend, and then that'll hopefully get me back into doing it.
Yeah, I've watched bits and pieces of games. I haven't watched the whole game, obviously, but I mean, it's nice to catch a little bit here and there and just see how
Yeah,
things are going.
it's also
Honestly,
I
I'm
think
excited for some of the young guys. I mean, they've been doing well,
yeah, I do like to see the what I've been watching. The young guys doing good. I feel like our record's pretty decent to where we're at right now. I mean, I'm putting my
I mean,
foot in
we've
my
already
mouth talking
overachieved
about
until this point in the season for sure,
yeah,
you know?
and I'm putting my foot in my mouth already because I thought Arizona was going to be a pretty significant threat, and they are a dumpster fire right now. But I mean, there's
Yeah,
still room to
they haven't got out of the gate too hot,
yeah,
but
and like we talked about previously, like that could really kill their season. You know,
yeah, the Padres and the Dodgers are really gonna be the 2 headaches in the National League
yeah,
West this year.
yeah,
Just the whole format, being that we're playing the AL West with, Oakland's supposed to be pretty powerful
yeah,
and you got the Angels who aren't gonna go away quietly. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be a tough battle, but they did expand the playoff format
yeah.
with 2 more teams,
Yeah, and I'm
which
happy for
is
that
gonna
for this
make it
year.
interesting, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. So we'll
So,
see. We'll see how the Giants do it, and there's other teams out there that are
I mean, they're technically still, so there's 8 spots now, like, I think they're a half game out, and
yeah,
then they won today, so I think that might depending on other standings, that might even put them in the running still.
yeah.
Which,
What's crazy is we're
I mean, there's
talking
still a
about
lot
that
of games
already.
left, but it's one of those things when you added 2 more spots like that, well, it's just gonna make those last 2 or 3 weeks that much more
Yeah,
exciting because you're gonna have and with the short sample size of the season being only 60 games, it's like you're n teams aren't gonna lengthen themselves from the pack on either side,
yeah,
whether it's in the win column or loss column, that much to really be out or ahead that much,
yeah.
So I think there's a lot of stuff that could still potentially, people could knock people off, teams could sneak in there towards
Yeah.
the end, and
I
anything's
will
possible.
say it is interesting the fact that we're already talking about this type of stuff, and we're like what 10 games into the season, but it's because it already matters. It's just
Well, yeah, in
it
a
does
normal season,
add
we'd be here on August 5th, and we'd be totally talking about the playoff
yeah,
picture,
but
and
the
then there's
first 3 months of the season, we'd be like, or month and a half,
yeah.
2 months, we'd be like, I want,
Yeah, be
lost that
like,
game, not a
there's
big
there's
deal.
still there's still plenty of
But
games
here we
left,
are, game 10, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, right now we're looking all right for playoffs. It does add, I will admit, it does add quite a bit of interest in it. Um,
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the 2.7 rule of this year too,
yeah,
where, like, 1 game is worth 2.7 games, so it's like if you win in this, 2 game or 10 games, it's like 27 games,
yeah,
you know? And that's I mean, going back to, like, what we talked about on the last podcast episode with, Joe Kelly being suspended 8 games. Well, I mean, he's not necessarily appealing it because he thinks that him getting suspended is unfair, but he feels that in this shortened season, 8 games is equivalent to like 20 games. And no one's ever got a 20-game suspension. Not even Pete Rose has gotten a 20-game suspension for what he did with gambling, you know? Like,
yeah,
so it's just, it's extreme. And yeah, 8 games it looks right on the surface for most seasons, but in this case, it's a different season, so it should be treated as differently,
yeah, absolutely.
So